What's going on, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital, coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is January 27, 2022. Oh my gosh, what a crazy market. There is the market saying if they don't scare you out, they'll wear you out. And I think that's really the theme of the day for today. Let's talk about the price action. We'll talk about my trading for the day. Before we do all that, quick disclaimer, nothing in the video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan, your own risk parameters, and don't YOLO yourself into any one of my trades or anyone's trades for that matter. All right, S&P 500. Oh my gosh, today was basically like a big old bull trap followed by a big old bear trap. And I came into today long a bunch of S&P 500 calls. So it worked out in the beginning of the day. I was able to take those off for a nice winner. But let's talk about this price action. We'll talk about that. I actually traded Tesla as well, and I must say, I traded Tesla like a rookie today. You know, every once in a while I make a big mistake as well. My big mistake for today was trading Tesla. All right, let's talk about it. S&P 500 down only 0.49%, and let's actually put this into context by looking at the heat map. So very interesting. You know, you can see over here we had down action across all of these markets except the Dow Jones. The other thing that was kind of interesting was volatility actually declined in all of these indices. And yeah, we had positive breadth in the Dow Jones and basically flat for the Dow. So yeah, it really looks like, growth just continues to get hammered. And it's one of those things where because growth has pretty much crashed, now you just have people that are basically panic selling their growth. Now keep in mind, this has been like a year-long growth sell-off. And this is certainly not the beginning of the growth selling. All right, but yeah, we can see that sell-off. But take a look at what actually sold off the most. So these semiconductor stocks, these have been darlings for the past 2 years. And during 2021, remember, there were so many groups of stocks that were just not working. It was like, oh man, these tech stocks, they're no longer working. Some of like the small cap growth no longer working. But the semis were just that group that kept going. And now we can see finally, some of the air is coming out. I think it totally makes sense. Like I've mentioned this in prior videos, we've had this semiconductor shortage narrative for about 2 years now. And eventually at some point, you can't just keep buying the stocks on the same narrative. At some point, you have to start thinking past it, and or, you're filled up to the gills of these semi stocks. So these plummeted, and I would say the same exact thing applies for Tesla. Tesla was down almost 12% after their earnings report. And this falls under the same category where even though the market was incredibly weak last year, this was just one of those stocks that really just kept chugging along. So yeah, today it really looks like some of the most loved areas of the market got hammered. Whereas you can see some of the more defensive areas of the market, they actually did okay. Netflix was up 7.51%. ServiceNow was up 9.14%. So yeah, basically like a tale of two markets. Let's jump over to our sectors real quick. You can see these energy stocks were up on the day. And there were headlines today of like nat gas futures. They're up like 20%. It's pretty crazy. These energy stocks have been great performers. They're at the top of our momentum list. And these consumer staples are re-emerging at the top of the list as well. Yeah, you can see semis were down 4.45% as a group. The group basically got sparked today. And so we're basically getting this like rotational sell-off. Nothing really is being spared at this point. They've really come after every single group. And you can see, blockchain was down, ARK Innovation ETF was down. Pretty much a lot of carnage out there today. And then style factors, these high beta stocks got hit the worst. These cyclicals, the small cap value. Only group that was positive was this high div low vol group, which is basically, these Microsoft, Amazon, etc., those kinds of names. Or not Amazon. Amazon doesn't pay a dividend, but a lot of those big, more like blue chip companies. All right, let's take a look at the index action for today. And today, so my premise coming into the session was we just got this huge Squeeze Metrics DIX print. The DIX came in at like a 51 and change. So I was like, hey, I took those calls into the close yesterday, and my bias was today might be the day where we actually get the snapback rally that sticks and really just catches everyone off guard. We had a nice open, and it was crazy. Last night, I went to sleep pretty early, and, we got like an overnight flush. So I was like, all right, we got a flush overnight, and here we are coming into the market session. So I was pretty much in the mindset, hey, this thing could really go the distance. And we had some nice action overnight. You can see here in the morning, some nice buying off the open. But then the market really just stagnated and then slipped into the abyss. And what was interesting, though, is, first of all, it's like, okay, big time bull trap. We are selling off. We can't even manage to maintain this bounce. But then it was like, towards the end of the day, it was like, geez, like, Tesla's down like a gajillion%, and this market just won't break to the downside. So we had the elements of both a bull trap and a bear trap today. And this price action, like you can see on this hourly chart, it's just very volatile. It's not really like it's trending. It's not like, oh, we're making all higher highs and lower lows, or vice versa. It's not like, oh, we're making a series of lower highs and higher highs and higher lows, nothing like that. You can see it's just very wonky. Like, it's not really following a pattern. It's just kind of like, oh my gosh, we got to bounce, sell it all. Like, so it's not really, it's just very unorthodox, very choppy, very volatile. What's interesting, so my trend model actually flipped on the close to -1. My trend model has closed at a -3 for, it's been like the last like 2 weeks. So yeah, pretty interesting that now we're at a -1. I thought that was very interesting. And the setup heading into tomorrow is we had Apple earnings. Who knows, maybe this is another factor, like, nobody wanted to add any longs until we had Fed Wednesday and some of these mega cap tech earnings. So yeah, let's take a look at Apple. And Apple, I took a look at the report after hours. And they beat on their earnings, they beat on their sales. So overall, it wasn't like they beat by like they doubled the estimates. Hey, it was a pretty good report. And you can see in the after hours market, the market is responding favorably. So this bodes well for tomorrow's session. And I feel like a broken record saying that. But I think that's the nature of this market. Like, it's really that saying, if they don't scare you out, they'll wear you out. I don't blame anyone that feels a little bit fatigued trading this price action, because this is difficult. I mean, look at this. Over the past 1, 2, 3, 4 days, has the market really done anything? No, not really. It's just kind of moved sideways. But if you're an active trader, there's been like a bull trap here, a bear trap there. Like, there's just been a lot going on. So I think it's important to just zoom out a little bit and be like, what's actually happened over the past couple days? Like, is any of this reinforcing the bear thesis? Is anything reinforcing the bull thesis? And as of right now, the price action is just kind of flat over the last few days. Of course, we are below these key moving averages. And look at this, actually. This is pretty crazy. This is the new monthly value area for February. Look how big this thing is. It just shows how volatile January has been. But we're actually not that far away from this monthly value area low that we're going to be seeing on our screens come Tuesday. So yeah, we'll have to see how things shake out, but I do want to share with you something very interesting. So the Squeeze Metrics DIX again came in super elevated. Came in at a 49.6. That is another outlier. And basically it's showing these dark pool buyers, they are accumulating the market. Now, I did some back testing the other night, and the data science work shows me that when we're getting these elevated DIX prints, the forward expected returns are very high. So what I'm trying to do is really just stick with what the data is telling me. If there's an edge, I want to be aligned with that edge. I must say it's been very difficult to do that, just given how much price is whipping around. But I did take some calls again into the close, and that's my bias. For now, I'm positioned long. I do have a 45% cash buffer, but yeah, I'm still in the camp that we're going to get a bounce at least in this bearish trend. All right, let's take a look here. Let's talk about some of my trades for the day, and then we will go to our options as well, our options order flow. So today I gotta say, some days you come in, you trade like a champion. Other days you kind of trade like a rookie, and I did do a rookie trade today. Everybody makes mistakes, including me, and so today I was able to make good profits being long these SPY calls. And originally coming into the day, I was like, we got this big Dix print. I'm long these SPY calls, which is awesome. These are gonna crush it. And I saw the NASDAQ was up, and I was like, this has the potential to really be like that follow through day in the markets. No one's really expecting it. And I saw Tesla. I looked at their earnings, thought it looked okay. And I think that was my big mistake, like me trying to interpret, how the reaction to earnings was gonna go. I think that was, in hindsight, that was a big mistake. But basically what I did was I bought into the Tesla dip early on in the day. I bought some calls for January 28th. Keep in mind, this is a one-star trade. It's not like it was huge. But I lost this trade. Like, basically, these are going to expire worthless, which isn't the end of the world for me. It happens. One-star trades. It's not like I really went big in this thing. But it completely offset all the gains I made from these SPY calls, which I sized much bigger. So yeah, that was kind of like, today had the makings of being like an awesome trading day for me, where it's like, killed it on the SPY calls. But Tesla, I basically rushed into this. And who knows, maybe if there's some sort of miracle, maybe they come back. But I really couldn't even stop out of these. It was just like, by the time I looked back at them, most of the premium was just dead. And this thing was really just like, stuck in the mud. So yeah, I would say this was my big mistake for the trading month of January. But it's okay. For me, it's all about the bounce back factor and just saying, hey, if you make a mistake, just come back the next day and correct your mistakes. That's really what it's all about. All right, so let's take a look here. So that is Tesla. And then what else did I do? I did purchase some STX. And this one had a nice reaction to earnings. I must say though, with the market weakness, this one really did not get, that follow through. So we'll have to see. This one has not hit my stop yet. So if it does, I'll take this off for a stop. But STX, we'll have to see what happens with this one. But yeah, put on a position in this name. And I think if the market catches a bid, I think this stock will participate as well. All right. So those are my trades for today. Let's take a look at this VigTech options order flow. For whatever reason, this data is still as of the 26th. Well, let's take a look at our Tradescape, see if anything is different. So yeah, this looks like it's up to date. Yeah, this is as of 6:01 p.m. So this is a lot of put flow coming in for Tesla. And yeah, this is like everyone just panic selling off their Tesla. Let's see, we got Apple, mix of puts and calls. AMD, a lot of put flow. IWM, of course, everyone's loading up on puts. So this is the dynamic that I'm noticing, where at some point with the VIX this elevated, and especially with Apple reporting some good earnings today, look at this put to call ratio, how elevated it was all day. And especially we're seeing this elevated DIX. I think the conditions are ripe for the bounce. But I'll leave you with that. That being said, that about does it for this market recap video. Hope you all had a great trading session, and I will see you all tomorrow.